Hi, it's Gadget UK here again. This time my alarm, it's just something different, a bit of vloggish. Can you hear it buzzing? And it doesn't sound right. I can't press the buttons now because it's in engineer mode. First thoughts were the battery hasn't been done in a few years, so I'm going to order one of those to replace that. But the other thing is this cap, and if I put a cap in parallel with this, 4700 microfarad, 35 volts, just watch. Buzzing stops. So it's that cap, you can see a bit of a bulge there. Now the dilemma is, what do you do when this is actually powered up and in use? If I disconnect the power, the alarm's going to go off and it's just going to be, it's going to annoy the neighbours. So what I've done, I've isolated the ground on my soldering iron, which is dangerous. It's not something you should do, but that's what I'm doing, just to hot swap this cap. So I've got an extension lead and I've literally just disconnected the earth. So the tip of my soldering iron is not protected by earth, which is dangerous, but I know what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is I'll put a wire in series with this because it's not the right type with the wires coming out the sides. I'll have a wire for the negative, heat shrink as well to isolate it, and then I'm just going to solder the positive onto this side here. I'll show them the length of the leg, you know, so it's in parallel like that almost. Join up the negative and then I can just move it into position. But I can do that whilst it's on. There should be no issues doing that. There you go, so not elegant, but I just literally soldered it while it was in place there, while it was on. The only way you can do that is, like I say, if you remove temporarily the earth from your soldering iron, but you need to understand the safety implications of doing that. So the one thing I'll do now is I'm just going to get a bit of a double-sided Scotch pad foam, you know, and stick it underneath it just to hold it because it's not the right, you know, the same type of cap. And I'll just stick a bit of insulation tape just around this area here because, you know, the wire here is a little bit longer than I would have liked, but it's the only way to swap it while it's in situ. So when I go in there to replace the battery, I'll probably just shorten the contacts actually, you know, so that cap that I've put in there makes a nice snug fit and stuff instead of, you know, having an extended leg on the positive side there a little bit. This is the old cap on the cap meter here. Look at this, it's not reading hardly anything at all. Put on the 2000 range, nothing, bring it down a bit, and it's just jumping all over, but it's mostly 0, 20 microfarad, nothing, look. It's just gone completely. So I don't think it would have mattered if I just cut this off and then just soldered the other one perfectly in line. Obviously, you know, I'm making sure the earth is not connected on my soldering iron, but yeah, sometimes you need to do that sort of thing. I mean, the alternative would, if I'd rung an engineer out, you know, rather than maintain it myself, because that's what I do, I maintain it myself. Periodically I do things like this. Last time I was in there was to replace the battery for the bell, you know, the backup battery. I've ordered another one of those, we'll swap that out. But, you know, it's easy to maintain and test and stuff, so it's like I can just put it in engineer mode, go into the test mode there, and walk around the zones to make sure the sensors are all working. There's no real risk. The cap that I've put in there is 105 degrees, this one's an 85. I've put a Panasonic in there, it's 4700 as opposed to 2200, so it's going to give some better smoothing there. And it's 35 volts as opposed to 25 volts. I mean, you know, voltages, when you talk about voltages of caps, there's a relationship to the ESR, but because I've used a high quality, low ESR capacitor, it should be fine. So apologies, it's a bit dark here, but you can see I've got a replacement battery here. Sorry, cat's walking past, making it even darker. Yeah, 12 volt, 3.2 amp hours. It's not quite exactly the same amp hour rating, but this should be okay. It's the best physical size I could get. And it's the 12, you know, it's 12 volts and stuff. It should be okay. So I just need to pull these protective covers off here. Put the alarm in engineer mode. So the next thing I need to do is just disconnect this spade connector so you can see positive, negative, and slide the new battery in. If I just try and compare them, yeah, they look the same size. It's just whether it's the right depth, you know, will it fit inside there? Hopefully it will. Sorry it's so dark, the positive on the battery was at the back of the battery, this one's at the front. So yeah, you want to check that. I can't get that on with one hand. The other thing I'm going to do while I'm here is just tighten up each one of these connections here. So all done, put the lid back on, switched out of engineer mode, and everything's okay. You can see here, you know, there's some like stuff around the positive terminal, unless that's just, I don't know, stuff from the wall or something nearby. I don't know, it's strange how it's all there. We'll go and measure it. Let's just see if it's 12 volts. Yeah, so we'll get the negative on the negative, positive, positive. Look at that, 10.3 volts there, can you see that? That's been continuously charged, so that should not be that low. That just goes to show that battery did need replacing.